Welcome to the Cambridge Financial Podcast with Bert Salazar, CEO at Cambridge Financial Partners, LLC. This podcast is all about tax-preferred retirement planning, economics, financial risk management, and achieving a risk-free and successful financial life. Now, your host, Bert Salazar. Bert Salazar. Bert Salazar.
Hey, good day, everyone. Welcome to the Bert Salazar Show. My name is Bert Salazar, and I'm going to be the host, as I am every single week with all of you. So I'm excited to be here once again. Today's episode is actually episode 150. So we've been doing this for quite a number of years now. And the name of this episode is going to be totally different than what we have covered so far. And this is an episode that is going to cover the basics of cryptocurrencies. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do this episode today is that I'm getting a tremendous amount of calls from clients and my online community members, asking me to do a podcast on cryptocurrencies and how they work and so forth. And it's a brand new sector of the market. It's one that I am not allowed to give you any type of financial advice, so I'm not giving you any financial advice. I may share with you some of the things that I'm doing, or if I don't do it on this episode, I'll do it in the next episode as well. But bear in mind that this is an up-and-coming sector. This would be construed as what the internet was back in the late 60s and early 70s, or what AOL was many, many years ago, compared to where the internet is today. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, and I'm going to give you some very good information, but I'm going to be speaking with you primarily from a 30,000 foot level, and then we can start drilling down as time goes on and so forth. So what are cryptocurrencies? And that's a question that I hear often. Now, most of the time the answer that I hear is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is the largest currency in the crypto world, but Bitcoin is not everything. As a matter of fact, there are hundreds of different currencies and there are hundreds of different coins that each of them does something different than what Bitcoin does at this point in time. So one of the things that is important to understand when you start getting into the cryptocurrency is that it's a totally new language for most of us. Perhaps a future of money transaction in the world. I feel very strongly that money transactions in the future is going to be based on cryptocurrencies and based on smart contracts and so forth. But I would also argue that the future is here now. If you take a look at the cryptocurrency market, is increasing by leaps and bounds every single day of the year. So the best is yet to come. Now, there's a lot of volatility. And that is why I'm not allowed to give you any type of financial advice, because, you have to be very careful when you invest in the crypto world. But there are challenges and there are also opportunities. So, and the reason why I think there are challenges and opportunities is that this new cryptocurrency world, opens up a world of opportunities for approximately 2.5 billion people in the world. I think there are approximately 7 billion people, perhaps a little bit north of that, and there's still about 2.5 billion people in the world that do not have access to banking and or ability to compete in the marketplace, and that's something that cryptocurrencies are bringing to par very quickly, and it's going to help tremendously in the next several years. Cryptocurrencies provide a conduit for efficient transfer of payments in relation to goods and services. So vis-a-vis goods and services that you may want to trade. So for instance, Elon Musk from Tesla just approved using Bitcoin to actually purchase his automobile. So Bitcoin is a major player in the marketplace. I have my own crypto.com account where I carry a lot of money there. I use it. I have an ATM, which is provided to me by crypto.com, and I use that ATM anywhere. I can go to any restaurant. I can go anywhere, just like you would with your it's an actual Visa ATM card, so you can use it pretty much just about everywhere. So that's something that we're starting to see more often than not. And again, cryptocurrencies allow for the efficient transfer of payments of goods and services, and you do that through smart contracts. Now, it is a decentralized currency, and they call in that sector, excuse me, they call it a DeFi market. So it's a decentralized finance type currency, which is not controlled by government and or financial institutions. And I think in many different ways, this is probably the most appealing part of cryptocurrencies, is the fact that they're not being controlled by any governmental agency. I mean, just take a look at what the U.S. government and the Treasury of the United States does to the U.S. dollar. For those of you that may not know this, most of the currencies in the world, if not all of them, are what we call fiat currencies. In other words, they have no tangible value other than the power of a promissory note. Let me repeat that again. Fiat currencies have no tangible value other than the power of a promissory note. Now, I think it was FDR that started to get us away from the gold standard, because there was a point in time in our lives where the U.S. dollar was pegged to gold, and you could not print more dollars than the amount of gold that you had in reserves. Now, in 1971, Richard Nixon went ahead and got rid of it altogether. Although trickle down, it had been done away with for many, many decades prior to that. But finally, in 1971, Richard Nixon and the Republican administration felt that, we needed to have more flexibility with the U.S. dollar. We needed to be able to print more of it without having to worry about the amount of gold that we had in reserves and so forth. So that's when we got away from the gold standard. Now, you can build an argument on the positive side and also the negative side. We're starting to see that quite a bit, because inflation, the more dollars are available in the marketplace, the less your dollar, the one that you have, is worth to you and your family. So, and the only thing that happened is that the U.S. dollar is based on a promissory note. The U.S. government pledges and promises to pay the value of that dollar at any point in time in the future. Now, take a look at where we're at today financially from a country standpoint. I mean, we have the biggest national debt in American history. We have the biggest unfunded liability that we've ever had in history. I think is north of $155 trillion today. We have the largest deficit that we have ever had, is north of $3.3 trillion today. And the national deficit is the difference between the amount of money and revenues that the U.S. government brings in versus what we pay out. So we're actually spending $3.3 trillion more than what we're bringing in. So what do you think that's doing? And obviously, the Treasury, every time they have to make a payment on our debt, if they don't have the money, they just go ahead and print some more. So can you imagine if you had the ability to run your household and you had a printing machine in the kitchen, and every time you needed more money, you could just go ahead and print your way out of it from that perspective. So those are some of the things that now are prompting many of these currencies that you're starting to see in the crypto world surfacing and taking control, because at least it's now the people managing the value of the currency and or the coins, as opposed to being a governmental entity and or a financial institution. Now, JP Morgan is getting now heavily involved in crypto. Facebook is actually now coming out with their own cryptocurrency. So you can start to see how the world is going to move in that direction at some point in time in the future. So just remember that the U.S. dollar is a prime example of a fiat currency and is totally controlled by the U.S. Treasury. Now, cryptocurrency values are controlled by the people who transact business in this market sector. So because of the fact that there is no centralized governmental agency to manage the value of cryptocurrencies, it is based on supply and demand. As a matter of fact, by the year 2040, that would be the last year that a Bitcoin will be minted. In other words, no more Bitcoins after that, and it's all about supply and demand. So when you really start thinking about the difference between centralized versus decentralized finance and or DeFi, there are some major differences that you have to be aware of. So if you're in the crypto world, and some of my assets are in the crypto world now, I have about 15 to 20%. But then again, this is not financial advice. This is what I do in order to diversify my risk. I have anywhere between 15 and 20% of my assets in decentralized finance, which means I am my own bank. So I have to be very careful as I make deals and as I sell, as I buy, as I sign smart contracts, because I am in control. But by the same token, I get to collect all of those interest payments that banking institutions and or third parties would have been doing on that portion of my money if I had it in a centralized location. Now, another question is, well, Bert, what are the top cryptocurrencies today? And there are actually 5 that I follow very closely, and these are the ones that I see the most. Obviously, Bitcoin is the highest one and has the biggest market capitalization in the crypto world. Ethereum is another big coin. Binance Coin, Polkadot Coin, and Cardano. So those are the 5 type of currencies that I follow. Now, each of them does something different. So it's not just about investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's understanding what it is that those coins and those currencies do and what impact will they have in the crypto world, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 25 years from now. So those are things that if you want to get into this marketplace, you have to become a student of the business. Now, what are some of the key features of cryptocurrencies? And again, I'm not going to go into any details here, but there's something called blockchains. And blockchains are mathematical formulas that every time someone either buys or sells a Bitcoin or Ethereum coin or Binance or does anything, everything goes on the blockchain and the entire world can see it. In the world of cryptocurrencies. Now, they're not going to see who did the buying and who did the selling. All they're going to see are the contracts that were executed at any given point in time in the future. I would imagine over the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of stuff that we do in the traditional world is probably going to go to the blockchain. And the reason for that is because we Americans are demanding more and more transparency. I think the world is demanding more and more transparency. So the blockchain is going to be able to provide that. Can you imagine if we had a blockchain that each and every American in this country can go into the blockchain and find out where does every single revenue dollar or every single expense dollar that the U.S. government manages, where does it go ultimately? I mean, that, you talk about transparency, that would be ultimate transparency. I would imagine that the U.S. government would want to fight that, especially Congress, because these politicians, there's so much going on and there's so many dirty games being played on both sides of the ledger, by the way. So everyone is guilty along those lines, that they would not want to see some of the things that we as Americans are entitled to see because we live in a free country. So blockchain, keep an eye on it. Obviously, you can always go online and get more information on blockchain, or you can reach out to me if you have any questions. Smart contracts. This is one of the most important things in this marketplace. And I sign smart contracts every single day. Whenever I buy, whenever I sell, whenever I go into a swap, or wherever I go into any type of farming, and those are verbiage and discussion that most people, unless you happen to be in the crypto world, you're not going to know. But you have to sign smart contracts. And basically what the smart contract allows you to do is the buyer and the seller, or the person who's executing the contract, knows exactly what he or she is going to get at some point in time in the future, and there are no ifs and or buts about it. Interesting enough, I just read an article that even you're going to be able to purchase real estate in the next 12 to 18 months by using smart contracts. So now you can get rid of the attorneys, you can get rid of the banks, you don't have to do closings. The smart contracts are going to be able to simplify the process of buying and selling properties and commodities throughout the United States, and it's going to be doing it at a very efficient rate, much faster than the traditional world, and it's going to open up a new world of opportunities to each and every one of us along those lines. Another area that I do invest quite a bit of money in is called Pancake Swaps, and this is let's say that you're holding Bitcoins and you're holding Ethereum coins, and the prices are volatile. They go up and down. I mean, this morning alone, Bitcoin hit a new high, over $63,000 for one Bitcoin. But let's say that you want to do something else with your coins. You want to go into a Pancake Swap, in which you want to farm them. You want to be able to earn interest on those coins. You don't want them sitting in your portfolio just in the hopes that the market will continue to go up so you can make money. But what if you can allow for the market to either go up or down, and hopefully go up in the future, and you can make a lot of money on your cryptocurrencies, but by the same token that you would have the ability to actually get paid an interest, a daily interest, which is hyper compounding, on allowing others liquidity to be able to use those coins that you have in your possession without giving up control. So there's, again, once you start getting into the cryptocurrency world, it's not just about Bitcoin. And then the last one are farms, where this is where you're actually doing pairs. You can do single farms on existing coins that you have, in which you can now hyper compound interest rate in order to maximize your business opportunity in the future as well. So again, this may be a little bit confusing to most of you. For those of you that have never looked into cryptocurrencies because you feel that there's a lot of volatility and that you don't know anything about it, I don't disagree with you. This is not for everyone. But what I can tell you is that more than likely this new sector is here to stay. And the question is, do you want to get in now, or do you want to get in 5, 10, 15 years from now, when it's going to be totally different at that point in time? So, I always like to start at the bottom and work my way up. So hopefully, if you have any questions, you can always contact me. You can reach out to me at area code 786-766-1042. You can also send me an email at Bert, B-E-R-T, at bertsalazar.com. And always remember that my goal for you and for your family is to kind of help you change the way that you see things, because when you change the way that you see things, the things that you see change. So once again, thanks very much for your time today, and I'll talk to you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.